Everyone thinks financial regret comes from bad luck, a market crash, a failed business, a job loss at the wrong time. But here's the uncomfortable truth most people don't want to hear. The financial mistakes people regret most are rarely dramatic. They're quiet, boring, and invisible while they're happening. They don't look like mistakes. They feel reasonable. They're often encouraged by society, and by the time you realize what they cost you, it's already too late to undo them. In this video, we're going to uncover the financial decisions millions of people make confidently that later become the source of lifelong regret. Not theoretical mistakes, not things only irresponsible people do. These are choices made by professionals with good salaries, families doing everything right, investors who thought they were being smart. And what makes this story disturbing isn't just how common these mistakes are. It's that history keeps warning us, and we keep ignoring it, because the biggest financial regret doesn't come from losing money. It comes from realizing you are following a system that was quietly working against you. So let's rewind. Part 1. Setting the stage. WHY. Financial regret is so common. To understand modern financial regret, we need to understand how money decisions stopped being personal and became systemic. When money became abstract for most of human history, financial mistakes were immediate and obvious. If you overspent, you felt it that week. If you took on debt, you knew exactly who you owed. If you failed to save, survival punished you fast. But something changed in the 20th century. Money became abstract, delayed, managed by institutions separated from daily consequences. Pensions replaced personal savings. Banks replaced community lending. Credit replaced cash. Retirement replaced self-sufficiency. People were told, "Don't worry, the system will take care of you." And for a while, you'd seen it through the rise of financial trust after World War II. Western economies entered an unprecedented period of growth. Wages rose. Housing was affordable. Education led directly to stable careers. Financial advice became simple. Buy a house, get a steady job, save a little to retire comfortably. This advice worked for that era. But systems evolve faster than beliefs, and by the time people realized the rules had changed, they had already locked themselves into decisions they couldn't reverse. This is where financial regret begins. Part 2. Origins. The first quiet mistake. Mistake number 1. Outsourcing responsibility for your financial future. The first major mistake most people make doesn't involve money at all. It involves trust. Trusting employers to provide long-term security, governments to protect retirement markets, to behave normally, banks to act in your best interest. This trust didn't come from stupidity. It came from precedent. For decades, institutions did provide stability. But here's the problem. Systems don't care about individuals. They care about efficiency. And when efficiency demands change, loyalty disappears. The pension illusion in the mid-20th century. Pensions were common. You worked for one company. You stayed loyal. They took care of you. Then globalization arrived. Companies realized loyalty was expensive, flexibility was profitable, pensions were replaced with 401k, personal retirement accounts, optional benefits. Responsibility shifted quietly from institutions to individuals. But nobody explained the consequences. People kept living as if stability was guaranteed. That was the first mistake. Part 3. The rise. Comfort, credit, and confidence. Mistake number 2. Confusing income with wealth. As economies grew, incomes rose. People felt richer, but income is not wealth. Wealth is what remains when income stops. Most people didn't notice the difference until much later. The credit explosion. Credit solved a psychological problem. It allowed people to Live future lifestyles today. Smooth over income volatility. Avoid uncomfortable trade-offs. Credit cards, auto loans, student loans, mortgages. That stopped feeling dangerous. It became normal, even responsible. And this is where cause and effect becomes cruel. Debt doesn't hurt immediately. It hurts slowly. Interest compounds quietly. Obligations stack invisibly. Flexibility disappears gradually. People didn't feel poorer. They felt stable. Until something broke. Part 4. The breaking point. When regret is born, mistake number 3. Delaying financial education. Most people assume they'll figure it out later. Later never comes, because life fills the space. Careers, children, mortgages, emergencies. Financial education gets postponed, not rejected, but ignorance compounds faster than money. By the time people learn how interest really works, how taxes quietly drain wealth, how inflation erodes savings, how risk concentrates over time, they've already locked in decades of decisions. And unlike money, time cannot be earned back. The shock event, financial regret, usually crystallizes around a shock. A market crash, a layoff, a medical emergency, a divorce, a retirement calculation. Suddenly, the numbers don't work. And the terrifying realization hits. I did everything I was told, and it still wasn't enough. That's when regret turns from abstract to personal. Part 5. Fallout. The cost of small decisions. Mistake number 4. Lifestyle inflation disguised as progress. As income rises, expenses rise faster. Not because of greed, but because of normalization. A bigger house feels reasonable. A nicer car feels deserved. More subscriptions feel harmless. But fixed expenses create fragility. High earners with low savings aren't wealthy. They're exposed. And exposure is invisible until tested. When income drops, options vanish. People regret not the purchases but the loss of freedom. Mistake number 5. Underestimating compounding. In both directions, everyone hears about compound interest. Few Italiano. Because compounding works slowly until it doesn't. Small savings delayed become massive losses. Small fees accumulate into fortunes for someone else. Small debts snowball into decades of payments. People regret not starting earlier. Not because they lacked discipline, but because they misunderstood scale. Part 6. Failed fixes. Why regret persists. Mistake number 6. Chasing high returns to catch up. When people realize they're behind, panic sets in. They take risks they wouldn't have taken earlier. Speculative investments, get-rich-quick schemes. Over-leveraging. This isn't greed. It's desperation, and desperation clouds judgment. Losses compound regret. The gap widens. Mistake number 7. Ignoring inflation's silent theft. Inflation doesn't announce itself dramatically. It whispers. Savings lose purchasing power. Cash feels safe until it isn't. Retirement projections quietly break. People regret trusting safe choices that weren't truly safe. Part 7. Modern parallels. History repeating faster. Today's financial landscape is more complex and more dangerous. Student debt reaches historic highs. Housing affordability collapses. Retirement ages rise. Job security declines. Yet the advice remains eerily similar. Just work hard. Just save a little. Just trust the system. But systems now prioritize efficiency over stability, scale over loyalty, growth over security. The same mistakes are being made faster. With higher stakes. Part 8. The deepest regret of all. After decades of interviews and studies, one regret rises above all others. not investing early enough, not understanding money sooner, not prioritizing freedom over appearance. But beneath all of them is this. People regret not questioning the path they were handed, not thinking independently, not learning before it was urgent, not realizing that normal isn't the same as safe. Part 9. 3 clear takeaways. Takeaway number 1. Time is the most valuable financial asset. Money can be earned. Losses can be recovered. Careers can restart. Time cannot. Start earlier than feels necessary. Takeaway number 2. Simplicity beats complexity. Most regret comes from overconfidence. Over-liberate. The strongest financial strategies are boring and resilient. Takeaway number 3. Responsibility cannot be outsourced forever. Institutions change. Rules shift. Promises expire. The only constant is your understanding. Final warning and open-ended thought: financial regret isn't caused by one bad decision. It's caused by 1,000 reasonable ones made without awareness. The tragedy isn't that people fail. It's that most never realize the mistake until the bill arrives decades later. The question isn't, will the system work? It's, what happens if it doesn't? And am I prepared? Call to action, natural and non-pushy. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's not an accident. Discomfort is awareness. Beginning, if you want more long-form breakdowns like this, where we question assumptions, unpack systems, and follow cause and effect all the way to the end, consider subscribing. Because the most expensive financial mistake isn't losing money. It's never understanding the game you are playing.